Welcome to the Happy Regeneration Pact, where stories of pain give birth to purpose and where the past is not forgotten but transformed. Today's episode is not just a continuation of a personal journey. It is a memory echoing through generations, a memory written in famine, in silence, in graves too small for children. In 1943, Rwanda witnessed one of its darkest chapters, Ruzagayura, a famine so cruel it claimed hundreds of thousands. They called it different names across the land, but its sting was the same: hunger, loss, emptiness. And now, decades later, history whispers again, through the cracked soil and the hollow cries of another generation. This is not just history, this is now. In this episode, Ruzagayura Returned, a boy named Munezero watches his world fall silent again. But from that silence, he begins to rise. Now, listen closely as Munezero speaks.
Mournful ballad, deep sordid soulful haunting stream.
The ground cracked beneath our feet. The rivers thinned into silence. The sky turned grey, not with clouds, but with stillness. It was as if even the heavens refused to weep. They called it Ruzagayura. Again, I had heard the stories of the famine that once swept through this land like a curse. But now, I was living in it, breathing it, watching it steal the color from our world. Each morning, the kitchen where we slept smelled more of dust than firewood. The animals grew thin. So did we. Mama's eyes, once soft and strong, now carried shadows. The fields, empty. The market, deserted. The neighbors, gone. One day, Uncle came back from the center, his shirt soaked in sweat, his face pale. "People are dying," he said flatly. "In every village, others are fleeing the country. The government says, we are now the poorest country in the world." None of us spoke. We didn't understand the full weight of that sentence, but we felt it. It pressed against our ribs like the hunger in our bellies. That night, Amina couldn't cry. She had no strength left to even weep. She lay on Mama's lap, her tiny chest rising like a fading breath. I sat beside her, holding her cold hand, whispering stories Grandmother used to tell. I promised her food. I promised her laughter. I promised her that we'd play again under mango trees, that we'd eat until our bellies hurt. She blinked slowly, as if trying to believe me, but then she stopped blinking. Mama screamed. I had never heard a sound like that before, not even when Father died. It wasn't a scream for help. It was a scream that tore open the sky, a scream of a mother who'd given everything and still lost her child.
Hunger called, and we obeyed. Empty hands in the heat of day. A mother's strength, a child's shame. Living ghosts without a name.
Grandmother came. Uncle's wife came, but Amina didn't. We buried her under the avocado tree, no coffin, just cloth. The ground was too hard from drought. It took 3 men to dig. I stood there, empty. My stomach no longer rumbled. Hunger had been replaced by something heavier. I knelt by her grave. I pressed the stone Grandmother had given me into the dirt. "Amina," I whispered, "I will not forget. I will not forgive. And I will not let this be the end. I don't know how, but I will fight. For you, for Mama, for everyone." I didn't know what that meant yet. But that day, something changed. I stopped being a boy who just survived. I became a boy who began to resist.
Ooh, the earth remembers, the wind still
at Amina's funeral. Silence hangs heavy. The family is gathered in a circle. The kitchen smoke has drifted into the cold air. Then my grandmother steps forward, frail but standing firm. All eyes turn to her. Her voice cracked as she looked over the tired faces. They say this land died once before, and now it is dying again. She paused, the silence behind her holding the weight of generations. But this is not the first time we have buried a child too soon. Between 1943 and 1944, long before most of you were born, Rwanda was gripped by a famine they called Ruzagayura. It swept through this land like a shadow with no end. No fewer than 300,000 lives were lost. A quarter of our people, gone. People ate soil. Mothers fed their children leaves. Families scattered. And those who survived were punished even more, taxed until their backs bent to the ground. She paused again. A few elders bowed their heads, eyes shimmering with memory. I was a child then, but I still remember the crying, and just like now, the church bells rang in gratitude when the rain finally came, when food returned, when the catastrophe ended. She turned to the fresh grave before them, Amina's. But tell me, has the catastrophe ended? Are we not still burying joy with our own hands? She took a slow breath, eyes landing on me. This boy, my grandson, his name is Munezero, and I gave him that name not because life was easy. No, I gave him that name because joy doesn't come after suffering. It grows inside it, even in blood, even in famine, even in ashes. She stepped closer to me now, placing a hand on my thin shoulder. Through you, my boy, I still see life. I see Rwanda rising again, not because it forgot, but because it remembered. The wind stirred. A rooster cried somewhere in the background. This famine may not have a name yet, but one day when they write about it, when they speak of those who suffered and those who rose, I pray they remember this day, this child, this family, and the pact we made to never forget and to always rise.
By the fire, she spoke my name. Munezero, child of pain. But hope still burns in dying coals. I'll carry him in my soul.
I didn't cry then, not because I didn't want to, but because something new was growing inside me. Not hunger, not sorrow, a seed. And maybe, just maybe, it was the same one my grandmother saw when she named me. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't sleep. I stared out into the dark and listened to the silence of our country, its sorrow, its hunger, its despair, and I made a silent vow. One day, I will plant something here, something that cannot be killed, something that will grow even in famine, even in Ruzagayura.
We dug his grave with trembling hands, no priest to bless, no songs to stand. Just tears that fell into the dirt. A mother's grief, a daughter's hurt. Hunger called and we obeyed. Empty hands in the heat of day. A mother's strength, a child's shame. Living ghosts without a name.
Thank you for listening to the Happy Regeneration Pact. This was episode 4, Ruzagayura Returned. Don't miss episode 5, where the seeds of resistance are planted and a young heart begins to imagine a new world. If you've been moved, Please share, subscribe, and help this story reach the hearts it was meant for. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay regenerative.
Keep him alive. By the fire, she spoke my name. Munezero, child of pain. But hope still burns in dying coals. I'll carry him in my soul. I will keep him alive. By the fire, she spoke my name. Munezero, child of pain, but hope still burns in dying coals. I'll carry him in my